Well, I've done my jetting and it took me 2 runs to get it. First of all, this jetting kit that I got off eBay, it's good, but it's US and Euro standard, which is different than the Australian standard. Australian standard DT400D for Oceania, which is Australian, has differences. It has a different needle. The needle is a slightly different taper. The clip should be on the 3rd position, which is the middle position. The one for Oceania is a different number, so that means that the taper is different, and it should be on the 2nd from the top, which is a leaner position, because that means that pushes it down. It means it pushes it down more, which is blocking the jet more. So therefore, jet block more means when you accelerate, it's just slightly leaner across the effective range, which is around the mid-range basically. So anyway, so how I jetted it was, first run was the standard jet, which is a 170, and the needle clip in the middle position, because I actually forgot, I didn't read the book properly. So I had the needle clip in the middle position, so it was pushed down a bit more, so it was slightly rich. Anyway, I took it for a run, and it was like, this is the first run, and the barrel was not run in yet, so I was quite happy to put on load, but you know, not rev it right out. Anyway, so I took a run, and it sort of pulled okay, but it felt a bit flat in the mid range. These motors don't rev very high, I know this now. So it was just a bit flat, so I thought, oh well, it's obviously not right. And I'm planning to take this bike in the end of November, take it to a vintage bike show, because it's technically a vintage bike now, and I've got it registered as a vintage. We'll have it registered shortly as a vintage bike. It costs next to nothing, and I can run it on the road just fine, but it gets a special vintage number plate. Anyway, back to the jetting. So I took it out, felt a bit flat, so okay, I can go one way safely. So I hunted through my jets, and I found this is a 180, which is just 10 more. These are flow rated jets. Like, you can buy jets in number drilled, which means that they're millimeters, you know, 1.11 or something like that. But these are flow rated, so it's a matter of just how much they flow for that size. So this one's a 180. The standard one for the Oceania is a 170, which has it in there. But I managed to find a 210, which is 15% more flow when you work it out. So okay, that's good. 15%, that's a fair bit more flow. So I took it out and took it for a run with a 15% more flow, and it just bogged down. It was like 4-stroke in mid-range. It just wouldn't do it. So that bigger jet was just the wrong way to go. So okay. So now I know that I'll go back to the 180, or sorry, the 170. So that's for the upper range. For the mid range, or sorry, the lower range, I started on the choke. I push the choke down, which is like lifts it on the other side. That means the choke's on. I started on the choke. I put the choke down, rum, few revs, started up, and if I turned the choke off straight away, I would expect the motor to be a little bit boggy, because I'm basically, when they cold, they want extra fuel. But if I turn it off quickly and cut that extra fuel off, I'd expect it to be a little bit lean, and it's not. So that means that the idle circuit or the low speed circuits are a little bit rich. So then I go back to here, and this is the one that meters out the idle circuit, and the way you count that in is you twist it in lightly till it just touches home. And the book says it has to be 1 1/4 out, so you go half, 1, and then quarter, which is sideways like this. So you go 1 1/4 out, and it runs not too bad around there. The idle, if I just go a little bit more, which is winding it out, and remember behind here you've got a passage that this blocks that passage, and the more you wind it out, the further away the blockage you make, and it lets more air in. So it goes to here, and then there's the pilot jet that sucks raw fuel from here. So the raw fuel gets sucked up, mixed with the air, metered by this, and then sucked out the carburetor, and down it goes. So by me going to 1 1/4 and then it wanting just a little bit to be a little even leaner, which means I undo it, which lets more air in, which cuts the fuel down, which makes it leaner, it ran better, which would make sense with the choke issue. So okay, but if I go too far, if I go 1 1/2, it starts getting thin, which means it's getting not enough. So I can make it go too much and I can make it go not enough, all in the roughly the range of what the factory says. I know the factory says 1 1/4 and I don't go to 1 1/2, but just a bit more. So I'm within the range of that factory jet. If I had to go out like to 2 turns, whatever, then this factory jet's the wrong one and I'll change the jet. But it's not the case. I'm within the range and I can adjust it, so I did. So there's the bottom idle circuit fixed. The top end one did not work with the 1A with 210 jet. So I put the 170 back in there again and I changed the needle to the proper position, which is the second one down from the top, which pushes the needle down, so when the slide goes up it restricts it slightly more. Took it out for the second run and it ran sweet. It ran really nice. It cleared up the top end, just well, as much top end as this bike has, cleared up nicely. Now I would say, if you're going to ask me how does this motor run, and I don't know DT400s, it's nice. It feels like it's got plenty of power. This is on the road, mind you, and on the road is very different than the bush. It feels like it's got plenty of power and takes off plenty of torque, like just whoop. And then you get to the mid-range, it starts to go just a little bit flat, and then at about 5, it's just got a little surge, like it just a little kick, only for 1,000 revs, just a little kick, and then just goes down. The power's just all over and done with. Now, remember, I've got an absolutely woeful expansion chamber here, and I reckon with the changes I've made to that motor and had a decent expansion chamber, this motor would wake up nicely because it's got that little surge. And I don't think they come out with a little surge, so I think this is in a good spot, this motor. I've got the jetting worked out. I know the expansion chamber is restricting it. I knew that was always going to happen. So I think this motor's in a pretty healthy spot, and I will be pretty comfortable with a long run to go to this vintage bike show and not worry about leaning it out. So all in all, it's working well.